This is the Skeptical Student Show, created as a part of Podcast Lab by India Film Project in association with Anchor by Spotify.
You can always listen to the episode on Fast Forward and follow the podcast to never miss new episodes.
Hey everyone, I'm Gavish, and I welcome you back to the Skeptical Student Show. The question of getting enrolled in a coaching institute has been ever prevalent in the minds of students as well as parents. Even more so if you need to prepare for an entrance exam. But I have never been to any coaching in my entire life. So I required some help. And for that, I have called upon not one, but two special guests slash friends to provide me with the much needed insight on this topic. First, we have Prashansa Raj, who has tried and tested a JEE coaching, a science stream schoolmate, who also went on to share the same university with me after getting into Shri Venkateshwara College, Delhi University.
Hello, Gavish. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm Prashansa Raj, a victim of the disaster that JEE preparation is.
Great. And we also have Sayyid Izhaan Hussain, a schoolmate as well, who has taken a drop to prepare for his second attempt at the NEET examinations, making him the perfect guest for this episode. Welcome, Izhaan.
Hello everyone, this is Izhaan. I'm 18 and as quoted by our host and a good friend of mine, Gavish, I've opted for a drop and I'm currently studying in DS coaching classes for the NEET examination that is to be held in 2022, probably in June or July. Thanks Gavish for having me.
Welcome, guys.
Blast from the past segment.
And I think we should begin or kickstart this episode by describing our own experiences with coaching institutes. So, Prashansa, how about we start with you?
So I joined Resonance in 8th standard and I really loved Resonance because Resonance had limited number of students in each class and we had teachers who were quite friendly with us and they provided a comfortable environment to study in and they focused on each one of us. We had like competitive environment but it was healthy competition and we had quizzes with seniors also and it was quite fun. But in Fiji, when I joined Fiji in ninth standard, it was like too much of work to do and too much of assignments and sheets. So it was like suddenly I went from nice place to like hell literally because Fiji was too overwhelming for me. I didn't like it that at all. In 10th standard, we had to study for NTSE. From 11th standard, we started focusing on JEE completely. It was so hectic. 12th standard, corona hit us, corona pandemic hit us, and we had to shift on to online platform. So I stopped attending classes because I lost my interest in engineering altogether because I couldn't bear it at all.
And you did take up coachings for GE, but still did not continue on the same path. So, what made you realize that, or what led to that enlightenment?
I'm not engineering material at all because I have seen students who study for JEE and they are like so serious about it. When I compare myself with them, I was like, dude, I'm not like this at all. So I was like, no, I really need a life where I can enjoy my life along with studying. So I then shifted on to Delhi University.
Great decision. Izhan, let us now hear from you.
I'll tell you what, first time I've ever been to a proper coaching, like an actual competitive coaching was in 11th. I was from Saga Public School, so we have like those practices of completing notes all the time and having like literally a lot of notes every day, maintaining classworks and stuff like that. And then I enrolled for a coaching that is DS, the same coaching I'm in right now, for my 11th. And I thought that I'll be able to manage it. Like the director over there, if you want to actually be on the path of clearing NEET, he told me that you should actually leave your school and try to go for a dummy school. And I was like, please, that's not happening. I'm not leaving my friends again. Like I actually changed my school when I was in 8th. I thought that I'll be able to balance my school and the coaching altogether. Unfortunately, I was really, really wrong. Like when I say really wrong, like literally very wrong because I used to leave for my school at 6 or 6:37. Yeah, you know how schools are like 7 or 7:30 in the winters. I used to reach school at 8 and leave school at 1:30 and reach home by I guess 2:15. I used to take my lunch, just lie down for some time, listening to some songs, vibe a little bit, and at 3:30 I had to leave for my coaching. You won't believe me, the coaching was actually for like 6 hours long, and even those 6 hours were not specific. The teachers, like, sometimes they would teach for like 6:30 or 7 hours, and there have been times where I literally used to go to the coaching at 4 and return at 11 or even 11:30 at night. So when I was saying that, I was literally very wrong about maintaining a balance between the coaching and the school, like trying to have my feet in two different boats at the same time. I was literally very wrong. I just realized that it is not possible for every one of us to maintain a healthy balance. Maybe I was weak, I'll accept that. Maybe I was weak, maybe I was not able to maintain a balance. But I think some of us can do it. And even if you can't do it, it's okay, it's fine. You can always go for a drop. And right now, I've taken a drop since I've graduated my high school. I think I'm doing pretty well in the coaching, really amazing after the drop. In 11th, it was insane, it was very chaotic, very hectic for me. But right now it's like performing good in my examinations which are held at the coaching. I'm in a good place in my life right now.
Great. Thank you for being 100% honest. Well, coming to me, when I said I haven't been to a coaching, that was a lie. Well, not entirely, because I did go, or was rather dragged to coaching, which was Resonance. So, once upon a time in ninth standard, I was dragged to Resonance by my mother, and evidently, this was because there was an obsession around for joining coaching classes. This obsession was grave because it also went on to suggest that you won't be doing well in your board exams next year if you couldn't simply get into a coaching at an early stage in life. So once I got there, I was introduced to a particular salesman with a selling pitch, and I also remember him saying that कुएं का मेंढक बन के नहीं रहना है. And after exiting the institute, I honestly and bluntly told my mother that I can't simply see myself being a part of this because I need to sleep after coming from school, because they actually left us at 2:30 and I ended up reaching home somewhere at around 3:30 p.m. So I just couldn't even imagine myself going to coaching after such an exhaustive day. That was when I decided not to go to any coachings, and later in my life I took up humanities, and as it is known that humanities doesn't really require you to have coaching, hence I ended up missing out on this opportunity, which I think was for the good.
Problem pinpoint and seeking solutions segment.
Shifting the focus of our discussion to problems and talking about their solutions, I think I would want to first discuss about the changes which have occurred in the coaching sphere after COVID-19. So, Izhan, since you're still continuing with the coaching classes, how about you share with us what you have to say about it?
Basically, it's like during the lockdown, I did not go to any coaching because obviously I can't like actually imagine myself being so dedicated towards studies, like sitting for 6 hours in front of my phone and just studying and studying. I literally can't imagine myself doing that. I don't have a personality to just sit in front of a camera and just study. I'll definitely be distracted with so many things like Instagram, Spotify. I'll definitely be distracted, so I did not go to the coaching during the 2020 and 2021 period. But I've had my friends, they told me that online method of teaching is probably one of the most inefficient method of teaching right now, because honestly, that even if the teacher is dedicated towards the students, like, I don't think that the student is actually, or specifically any one of us in my age group, is disciplined enough to be able to sit in for almost 6 hours and study for all those 6 hours. I don't think that any student is disciplined enough. Many teachers are like, we'll just do this real quick and we'll end the class in 6 hours. They are just teaching and teaching and teaching, and they're not even stopping for doubts. I've had my friends tell me that they're not even teaching class live. They're just recording their videos, the same videos they are posting on YouTube, They just record those videos and send it to the students. I mean, like, if I'll be going to the coaching and I'll be paying like 2 lakh or 3 lakh rupees, I wouldn't want to just sit at home and watch a YouTube video.
Yes, exactly. And I also remember talking about online classes being for the strongly willed in my previous episodes. And I also like the fact that you went on to talk about the loopholes of this system, about how they charge you a hefty amount and still ask you to watch a YouTube video at home. So that doesn't make sense. Moving on to our next point, I think there is certainly herd mentality wherein people are just getting their children enrolled in the coaching institutions out of peer pressure, which I believe my mother almost became a victim of. So, how about we throw a light upon that?
Prashansa, I think you should go first.
Yeah, okay. So, like I said earlier about having 250 students in one batch, it could be an example of herd mentality itself because they just promote their coaching so much and manipulate parents into somehow enrolling their children into these coaching institutes, and their business game is so strong, I must say. So the herd mentality is all about parents just forcing their children to get into these coaching institutes so that they just somehow get into IITs and AIMS. They're like कि उसका बेटा जा रहा है, उसकी बेटी जा रही है, so I should also send my child. There are teachers who are graduated from IITs and stuff teaching there, and I think that's just the reason why these coaching institutes are prospering this much because they recruit these IITians and AIMS pass outs and offer them nice big fat packages.
What about the solutions to this herd mentality? And I think I also find myself agreeing to some of the points which you mentioned, such as the coaching institutes brainwashing parents and manipulating them into sending their children to these institutes. But it all boils down to what do we do now? What are the solutions? So, Izhan, what do you think?
Okay, so as Prashansa already quoted, that it has become a general notion or a perception of the people that only those students who go to coaching classes will be able to get their future together, will be able to clear a NEET or UPSC or CLAT or JEE examination. It has almost become a mindset, actually, not even a perception. It has almost become a mindset, a mentality of the people. I think that first of all, there is a need for people to understand that it's not about going to a particular coaching. Upon the student, like a teacher can just make your child sit over there for like 6 hours, 10, even 10 hours, even 20 hours, and he can teach him something, make him learn those points, those concepts. And even after those 20 hours, 10 hours, he'll not be able to understand a single thing if he doesn't want to. So the thing is that you need to understand what your child actually wants. Like, just pushing him into a field where he is not comfortable or where he doesn't want to be is definitely not the right thing to do. Like, first of all, there is a need to change this mentality.
I agree. And there is a stringent need to break away from this mentality in the sense that students also need to take a stand about what they want to do in life against their parents. I have also talked about this before in my humanities episode, and I'll say this again for parents to not impose their unachieved dreams on their children. Moving on to the next problem, which is a prominent one, time management. I think students find themselves in a tough spot. They need to prioritize classes over coachings or coachings over classes. So, what do you say about that?
Balance is everything in life, so it's like you can always go for a drop. Many people think that if I'll go for a drop, I'll lose another year of my life to studying. Many people think that maybe I should just go to the coaching and work even harder in 11th and 12th. It's almost impossible to maintain a balance with the coaching. Of course, you can go for a dummy school if you actually are interested in doing that. Go for a dummy school. Like, there's nothing wrong in taking a dummy school. Also, if you don't want to leave your school, for like me, like if you want to just stay with your friends, don't do it. Focus on your CBSE boards, score like 95%, 96%, 97%. That way you'll also have an upper hand on the dummy school people. You'll have alternate courses to choose from.
Prashansa?
Adding up to the points Izan mentioned, I have a friend who took up dummy in class 11th, and she told me this that She didn't enjoy those 2 years at all because she just went to coaching every day. They didn't have much to because there are no activities there. We have annual functions. Also, they didn't get much marks in boards, so she didn't have any backup to go with. And I have another example. I have a friend who plays guitar. He joined coaching, and then his parents snatched the guitar away from him, and he didn't have any access to his guitar because they wanted him to focus on his studies, so they took his hobby away from him. So I don't like this in coachings and stuff. They just tell you like, don't meet your friends, don't have relatives over, don't have friends over, because they'll distract you from your main aim, that is these examinations. You have to have fun along with your studies to have good mental health. Speaking as a psychology student, we should have balance in every aspect of our life. We need to have fun, we need to relax ourselves equally. Studying for 12 hours continuously, it's not possible because you are a human. You know it. WHO says you need to be physically, mentally healthy to be like considered healthy.
That sounds tragic. And I think the actual question which needs to be asked is that really your aim? Moving on to the next problem, which is this even the right kind of education? Because these institutes involve a batch system which bifurcates students into toppers, average, and low achievers. This goes on to develop an inferiority complex in people. Not to mention how these institutes basically resort to robotification, wherein they expect you to perform almost as robots. And is this even education when we are only keeping our aim as to crack an entrance exam and not to actually learn anything about life or yourself? So, what would you guys say about that?
Okay, as rightly quoted by Gavish, these institutions are probably cause of creating an inferiority complex among students. As Gavish said, that these institutions tend to separate students into various groups. Like only this Monday in our coaching, the physics teacher asked us to go in a different batch, get up in between of the class and go to a different batch taught by another teacher. Imagine being out of those people who just have to get up in between of the class to go to the different batch. Wouldn't that be an intellectual difference between the two groups? This inferiority complex that they just face because of having to get up in between of the class will develop an inferiority complex that will degrade their confidence. So it's like that most of these institutions are basically aimed at earning big bucks, just making money, and trying to develop a business out of that education. When the term business gets in between the term education and success, education is meant for success, and when the word business gets in between that, I don't think that that education will lead you to your success.
Points well made. Prashansa, what about you?
So I'll be talking about the batch system because it is too much prevalent, and there's a system called cult metamorphosis. The CM batch, it's the top batch. There were only 20 to 25 students, and mostly all of them get selected for IIT, but only those 25 get selected for IIT, not the other batches that are there. I just want to say that students should have a clear idea about like, you aren't getting anywhere in this coaching institute. Probability can be calculated of you getting into IITs and NITs. So just get that reality into your mind and just switch your career goal onto some other thing you're actually passionate about, or you're having interest in, or you would do much better in. This is not the right kind of education. Rather, this is a threat to our education system because this just promotes rote learning and doing lots of work, hard work basically, not smart work, because they just expect you to do 500 questions of this topic and then one of them will pop up in your exam. And this is not the right kind of education.
Thank you for expressing your point of view. Kota is known as the hub of coaching centers. But do you know what it is also famous for? Ever increasing suicide rates. How sad is that? The inferiority complex, which we just spoke about, and the pressure that these coaching institutions build upon you ends up into a student taking his or her own life. What would you guys say about that?
I just want to say that factors, these minute factors, add up to your pressure so much that students there get suicidal. In this lockdown, you must have experienced anxiety because human is a social animal. We need to go out and socialize with our friends. And in Kota, they are in quarantine. They are in endless quarantine until they clear their exam. They are in quarantine itself. They just cut out their social life. They are in permanent quarantine.
Izhaan, what do you think?
It's like an endless cycle of being let down by your ambitions and the ambitions of your family. It's all because of the pressure that he actually thinks that committing a suicide is a better option than manning up to his parents. Plus, these coaching institute also play a very important role. These teachers and all, they just literally holding the throats of the students who they can just use as an advertising product. All right.
Thank you. And we would like to emphasize here that suicide should never be an option. If you are suffering, please seek help because there's more to life. Further, we would be talking about the malpractices which these coaching institutions often engage in. For example, there was a news from Nagpur wherein CBI had arrested coaching owners and students as well who were involved in scam related to paper leaking and were guaranteed admission after paying lakhs and lakhs of rupees. What do you think about this and how can it be corrected?
For 60 lakhs from an individual just to get him into a college or just for him to clear an examination, you're actually not getting him into a good college. You're actually not helping an individual to pursue his dreams. You're actually just manufacturing a donkey for this country. Definitely not an asset.
Coaching institutes charge around 10 lakhs for a 4-year course. So much of money for just an entrance exam, and obviously they must be hiding this money, keeping this off the records. Authorities also need to regulate and keep an eye on these institutes because obviously they'll be holding black money. We also need stricter laws. We have an education ministry, so we can also have a wing of the education ministry keeping an eye on these coaching institutes. Okay, so the faculties in our coaching institutes are just migrate from one coaching to another. Apparently, these are the IIT Delhi and Bombay pass outs. So I think when you have studied from such prestigious institute, you should always have some conscience in yourself and don't switch when someone is paying you much more. And then these topmost faculties, they just open their own coaching institute and the fees was like, on cloud 9. Like they just have this quotation between themselves, like I will have more toppers in my coaching, but I will also charge more fees. I will also keep the entrance exam of my coaching institute tough than yours, and we can all see this in Kota Factory itself. Your listeners have watched Kota Factory, they'll know about it.
Yeah, I'm sure they must have. Well, this only goes on to talk about the robbery being committed in bright daylight, and we obviously need regulation, stricter laws, and even stricter enforcement of these laws from the authorities.
Response segment.
Coming to the last question, which is also a part of our response segment, which is, do we really need coaching to crack entrance exams? I think we'll first hear from you guys and then discuss upon the response which has been received.
As I've said earlier, I am strictly against these examinations themselves because I don't like them at all. India having so much of population and they just have limited number of seats. Like what I'm saying is the government should open up more government colleges and with better faculties so that each student who's trying to pursuing or who wants to pursue a career in engineering could pursue it. So coaching institutes, they just present themselves as a stepping stone, or like they are the crucial step that every student must go through to enter into IITs. Otherwise you'll be left out, and fear of missing out is, herd mentality is there. And then coaching institutes have embedded themselves into this process, like you need to study in coachings so that you can get into IITs. Without coachings you won't get anywhere. Coachings are not actually important because, JEE means is all about having speed, and JEE Advanced is all about having precision. In my opinion, I don't think that coaching institutes are really important because I've been to them. They don't have you drink some magical potions.
Izhaan, what about you?
I won't say that it's completely wrong to take a coaching. I mean, you don't necessarily have to go to a coaching because the history is proof that many of the people who have never been to coaching have cleared all those government exams. To be honest, if you go to a coaching and you can actually cope up with their system, I think you'll get a lot of help from them. And there are certain institutions which genuinely care about you.
Yes, and I think we'll have statistics speak for themselves. A report published by IIT Guwahati, the conducting body of IIT JEE 2016, stated in its report that 52.4% of students who qualified for IIT entrance exam in 2016 never took any coaching for entrance exam preparation and studied in school and on their own. I think this is enough to debunk all the myths. And now, talking about the response which I had received, a responder said that the system has been made like this. So, yes. To what extent do you guys agree to this statement? More like it is a trend to go to coachings and then go on to take up seats in the IITs. So, do you agree with that?
Yeah, you have two choices. You can either get into the horse race, be the best horse among a particular group of horses, and do your best and win the race. Or second thing, you can be the lion among the horses and do what no one has done, take a completely different field and be a conqueror among the normies.
Great. And Prashansa, what about you?
So I just think that so they are just a part of our education system, not our lives. People dedicate so much to the coaching institutes. Be symbiotic with them. Give them something, take something from them.
Yes, I agree to this, and also the fact that people do make it to these institutions and crack these exams even after self studying. I think this debunks all the myths. And as far as the so called system is concerned, I think we should be working towards breaking the trends and challenging the trends rather than conforming to them.
Supplementary segment.
So, as a part of our supplementary segment, for Izhan and Prashansa and all those who do not know, we give something back to our listeners through this. It can be an article, a video, anything of value, which will help them remember us by. So, for today's episode, I would recommend you to watch a video on YouTube by Netflix India titled Every Coaching Class Ever. This is made in collaboration with Kota Factory, which is Prashansa's favorite. So I hope you guys must have watched it by now because it is popular, but at least I had not. The link will be made available in the episode description.
Moral of the episode.
So, guys, if I were to ask you about the moral of this episode, or what would your last words be?
I just want to tell you all that enjoy your life, dude. Just do whatever you want to. Don't make JEE and NEET your complete life. Don't dedicate your life to these examinations. They are not, they're just exams. Don't hype them up so much that you just give your lives after them. That's it. Be happy. Love you.
Izhan, what about you?
I'll conclude by saying that somehow we as individuals, every one of us, has come to believe that greatness, or should I say success, is for the chosen few, the superstars, the God gifted, as some people like to call it. But I think that greatness or success is not in a particular place or in a particular person. It's everywhere a person tries to find it and is willing to work for it.
Great points, guys. And according to me, we are living in an ever evolving world wherein new career options are popping up every single day. And also, one should work on themselves to find the purpose of their lives. Instead of dedicating life to a particular exam, you should be mindful about where do you choose to spend your parents' hard earned money. And also, it is your job to convince your parents into not letting them pressurize you. In the end, if you still would want to go and join these coachings, do it, but make it a point to not be under the pressure from your parents or the society. That is it. Thank you so much, Izhan and Prashansa, for coming to discuss about this episode. I absolutely loved our discussion. It was full of laughs, serious points, and we had fun, I think. And I
We
hope
loved
you
it
did
It
too.
was
too.
fun. It
And
was
I
fun.
hope our
Yes, it
listeners did as
was.
well. Okay, so before we go, guys,
Yay!
we'll give out we'll give out our we'll give out our Instagram handles for anyone who would want to stay connected. So I'm called Gavish Raptor with GAVISH_RAPTOR. What about you guys?
I'm Prashansa Raj with PRASHANSA_RAJ_. So just follow me, I'll follow you back.
My Instagram handle goes like the underscore BRUCE _WYANE. Yeah, the Batman, the Bruce Wayne. That's what it is. Okay, so hit me up.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in today. And don't forget to tune in next week for a fresh episode.
You were listening to the Skeptical Student Show by Gavish Raptor, created as a part of Podcast Lab by India Film Project in association with Anchor by Spotify.
You know, man.